The soft hum of the U.S. Horizon's engines filled the bridge as Commander Jack Collins watched Earth shrink in the viewscreen. This was humanity's big moment. After decades of sending signals into space, someone had finally answered. Jack straightened his blue uniform and took a deep breath. "Status report, Captain Summers," he said. Lisa Summers looked up from her console. Her fingers stopped moving across the glowing screen. "All systems normal, Commander. We'll reach the meeting point near Jupiter's orbit in 6 hours." Jack nodded. Humanity had spread to Mars and Europa, even built homes on planets around nearby stars. But they had never met another intelligent species until now. "How's our diplomatic team doing?" Jack asked. "Nervous," Lisa said with a small smile, "but ready." The ship continued its journey through the darkness of space. Stars glittered like diamonds against black velvet. Jupiter grew larger in their view, its swirling storms a mix of orange and cream. And then they saw it. The alien ship was 3 times larger than the horizon. It looked like a giant silver leaf with glowing blue veins running across its surface. It didn't move like human ships. It seemed to float, as if space itself bent around it. "Open communications," Jack ordered, his mouth suddenly dry. The main screen flickered. A face appeared. The alien had gray-blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and no visible nose. Its mouth was a thin line that barely moved when it spoke. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am High Envoy Zextar of the Korvax species. I speak for the Galactic Confederation, an alliance of 27 spacefaring civilizations." Jack stepped forward. "I am Commander Jack Collins of the United Earth Navy. We welcome you and the Confederation to our solar system." The meeting that followed lasted hours. They exchanged information about their cultures, governments, and technologies. The aliens seemed friendly, curious about humans and their ways. But Jack noticed something odd. Every time Earth was mentioned, all 4 of Zextar's eyes would blink rapidly. "We are particularly interested in your death rituals," Zextar said suddenly. Lisa Summers, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "Our death rituals. Yes, we have observed from orbit that you set aside large areas of land filled with stone markers. You place your dead beneath the ground in these areas." "You mean our cemeteries," Lisa said. "Yes, many humans choose to be buried after death. It's a tradition going back thousands of years." All the aliens in the room looked at each other. One whispered something to Zextar, who nodded. "We would request permission to study these cemeteries as part of our cultural exchange," Zextar said. "It is a practice unknown among Confederation species." Jack felt uneasy, but couldn't explain why. It seemed like a simple request. "I see no problem with that," Lisa said. "We could arrange visits to some of our historical burial grounds. Arlington National Cemetery in the United States would be a good starting point." "Excellent," Zextar said. "We will send our cultural research team to begin studies immediately." After the meeting, Jack pulled Lisa aside in the hallway of their ship. "Did anything about that feel strange to you?" he asked quietly. Lisa shrugged. "They're aliens, Jack. Everything about them is strange. But they seem peaceful, and studying cemeteries is harmless enough." Jack nodded slowly. "I suppose you're right." Back on their ship, Zextar gathered his science team. "The humans have agreed," he said. "Begin preparations immediately." "High Envoy," said Dr. Krival, the team's lead scientist. "Are you certain these burial grounds are what we think they are?" "No," Zextar admitted. "But no species we have ever encountered preserves their dead this way. There must be a purpose beyond mere sentiment. And if I am right, we must learn the truth before it is too late for us all." The aliens looked out at the blue planet hanging in space, so peaceful, so beautiful, and possibly so dangerous. 3 days later, the alien scientists landed on Earth. Dr. Krival led the team of 6 researchers. They wore simple gray suits that seemed to move like liquid when they walked. A small device on their chests translated their words into English. Their first stop was Arlington National Cemetery. The morning was cool and misty. Rows of white headstones stretched across the green hills. The aliens walked slowly between the graves, their four eyes blinking rapidly as they took everything in. So many, Dr. Krival whispered. Hundreds of thousands in this location alone. Nimpor, the team's archaeologist, used a small silver device to scan the ground. And you say you have millions of these sites across your planet? The human guide, a young woman named Abby Green, nodded. Yes, almost every town has at least one cemetery. Some are hundreds of years old. The aliens exchanged glances. Nimpor adjusted his translator and asked, "And why do you preserve the bodies? Why not destroy them?" Abby looked surprised. Destroy them? No, we believe in treating our dead with respect. Many people find comfort in visiting the graves of their loved ones. So these are only for emotional purposes? Nimpor asked. Of course, Abby said. What else would they be for? The aliens did not answer. They continued their tour, stopping at the tomb of the unknown soldier. They'd watched the guard march precisely back and forth. Their devices scanned everything. That evening, in their temporary lab set up at the Earth Embassy, the alien team gathered to discuss their findings. It makes no sense, Dr. Krival said. No other species dedicates so much space to their dead. And they preserve the bodies in sealed containers. Nimpor displayed a 3D image of Arlington Cemetery. Colored dots appeared over certain graves. I detected unusual energy readings from the oldest sections. Very faint, but definitely present. Could it be decomposition? Asked another scientist. No, Nimpor said firmly. These are artificial energy signatures, and look at the pattern. He zoomed out to show the entire cemetery. The colored dots now formed a clear geometric pattern. Dr. Krival's eyes widened. That's a power grid layout. Exactly, Nimpor said. I believe these aren't memorials at all. They're dormant systems of some kind. Weapons? Dr. Krival asked quietly. Possibly, Nimpor said. Think about it. Humans claim to be new to space travel, yet they have technology that isn't far behind our own. What if they've been hiding their true capabilities? What if each of these graves contains something waiting to be activated? Outside the lab, Lieutenant Daniel Hayes of Earth Intelligence was passing by. He paused when he heard the aliens' voices. His job was to keep an eye on the visitors, make sure they followed protocol. Something made him stop and listen. We need samples, he heard Dr. Krival say, from the oldest burial sites. If these are what I think they are, the Confederation must be warned. Daniel frowned. Samples. No one had approved collection of samples from any graves. He made a mental note to report this to his superior, Major Olivia Grant, in the morning. The next day, the alien team split up. They'd visited cemeteries in Egypt, China, England, and Peru, some of the oldest burial grounds on Earth. At each location, they secretly took soil samples and scanned deep below the surface. What they found alarmed them more each time. Every ancient cemetery showed the same faint energy patterns, forming networks beneath the ground. It's a planet-wide system, Nimpor told Dr. Krival that night. Millions of points, all connected, all dormant, but with power signatures. And the humans claim these are just for remembering their dead. Dr. Krival said, no species would waste so much space and effort just for sentiment. There's only one logical conclusion, Nimpor said. These aren't memorial grounds. They're weapons platforms disguised as cultural sites. The humans have built the biggest trap in galactic history. Lieutenant Daniel Hayes hurried through the halls of Earth Defense Command. His boots squeaked on the polished floor. He had important news to share. Major Olivia Grant looked up from her desk when Daniel entered her office. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was perfectly pressed. Lieutenant, she said, you look worried. Major, I overheard the alien scientists talking last night. Daniel said, catching his breath. They're taking samples from graves without permission. and they're saying strange things about our cemeteries. Olivia frowned. What kind of things? They think our burial grounds might be weapon systems in disguise. They detected some kind of energy patterns. Olivia leaned back in her chair. That's ridiculous. I know, Ma'am, but they seem very concerned about it. Just then, Olivia's computer beeped. A message appeared on the screen. She read it quickly, and her expression darkened. There's been an incident at the Old North Cemetery in Boston, she said. A groundskeeper caught 3 aliens digging up a grave from the 1700s. Daniel's eyes widened. What were they doing? According to this report, they were trying to extract an entire casket. The groundskeeper, Frank Miller, confronted them. There was a struggle. One of the aliens was injured. Things moved quickly after that. The Earth government demanded an explanation from the Confederation representatives. High Envoy Zextar apologized for the incident, but claimed it was a misunderstanding. Our scientists were merely taking samples for cultural research, he said during an emergency meeting. Digging up graves goes far beyond cultural research. Commander Jack Collins responded angrily. It's desecration. Zextar's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. We meant no disrespect. If we have violated your customs, we will withdraw our research teams immediately. And they did, much faster than anyone expected. Within hours, all alien scientists left Earth. The next day, the Confederation ships moved away from Jupiter's orbit without explanation. Something's not right, Jack told Lisa Summers as they watched the alien fleet depart on the view screen. They're hiding something. I agree, Lisa said. They were too interested in our cemeteries, and now they leave without finishing their other research. They were scheduled to stay for another 2 weeks. Earth's military went on alert. Ships were positioned to defend the planet and its colonies, but no one knew what the aliens were planning or why they had left so suddenly. 3 days later, Earth intelligence intercepted a message between Confederation ships. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear enough to cause alarm. Humans have hidden warriors beneath the ground. Millions, waiting to be awakened, must strike first. Major Olivia Grant called an emergency meeting with Admiral William Carter, the highest-ranking officer in Earth's defense forces. She showed him the intercepted message. They think our cemeteries are some kind of military installation, she explained. They believe our buried dead are dormant warriors that can be reactivated. Admiral Carter ran a hand through his gray hair. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Absurd to us, sir. But what if their species doesn't bury their dead? What if they have no concept of what a cemetery is? The Admiral's face grew serious. You think they're planning an attack based on this misunderstanding? I think we need to prepare for that possibility, yes. Within hours, long-range sensors detected the Confederation fleet changing course. They were coming back toward Earth, and this time, they were in battle formation. Send a message to all Confederation ships, Admiral Carter ordered. Explain that our burial grounds are not military installations. They're just our way of remembering those who have died. But the aliens didn't respond to any messages. Their ships continued to approach, weapons systems powering up. They're really going to attack us, Olivia said in disbelief. Because they don't understand why we bury our dead. Admiral William Carter gathered a crisis team in the main conference room at Earth Defense Command. Maps and data filled the screens on the walls. The Confederation fleet was now just past Mars orbit and closing fast. We need to understand why they're so fixated on our cemeteries, the Admiral said. Any ideas? Dr. Susan Moore raised her hand. She was an anthropologist who studied how different cultures dealt with death. Her brown eyes were sharp behind her glasses. I think I might know, she said. I've been reviewing the data we have on Confederation species. None of them bury their dead. None of them? Jack Collins asked. He had been called back from the U.S. horizon to help with the crisis. Not a single one, Susan confirmed. The Korvax cremate their dead and scatter the ashes in space. The Veltrex dissolve bodies in acid pools. The harem turned their dead into a kind of liquid and drink it as part of a ceremony. Several people made faces at that last one. My point is, Susan continued, the concept of preserving bodies after death is completely foreign to them. They can't understand why we would do it unless we had some ulterior motive. Like saving bodies for future use, Lisa Summers said slowly. They think we're planning to bring our dead back to life somehow. Exactly, Susan nodded. To them, our cemeteries look like storage facilities for future soldiers. Admiral Carter stood up. We need to explain this cultural difference before they attack. Send another message to the Confederation fleet. Make it clear that our burial practices are just traditions, not military preparations. Earth sent message after message, but the aliens didn't respond. Their ships continued to approach, weapons hot. They're targeting something, said the radar operator at Earth Defense Command. But not our cities or military bases. Olivia Grant leaned over his shoulder to look at the screen. What are they aiming at? Cemeteries, he said in disbelief. They're targeting major cemeteries around the world. That makes no sense, Jack said. Even if they think our cemeteries are weapons platforms, why attack them first? Why not hit our actual defenses? Because they're afraid, Susan explained. They think we have millions of warriors ready to rise from the ground. In their minds, they're preventing us from activating our true army. This is insane, Admiral Carter said. Prepare all defense systems. If they fire on Earth, we'll have no choice but to fight back. The first alien shots came without warning. Beams of blue energy streaked through Earth's atmosphere. They hit Arlington National Cemetery with shocking precision. More beams struck ancient burial grounds in Egypt, China, and England. People around the world watched in horror as their sacred sites were attacked. News feeds showed smoking craters where peaceful graves had been moments before. But then something unexpected happened. The ground at Arlington began to shake. From the crater left by the alien weapons, a soft blue light began to glow. What is that? Admiral Carter demanded, watching the live feed. No one had an answer. The blue light grew stronger. Then, with a sound like thunder, something emerged from the earth. It was huge, at least 30 feet tall. It looked like a machine, but moved like a living thing. Its metal skin shimmered with the same blue light that had preceded its appearance. Similar reports came in from around the world. From every cemetery the aliens had attacked, these strange machines were rising. My God, Susan whispered. There really was something buried in our cemeteries after all. The giant machine at Arlington stood completely still for a moment. Then its head, if that's what it was, turned upward toward the sky. Toward the alien ships. It's some kind of defense system, Jack said in awe. But we didn't put it there. Who did? The machine raised one massive arm. A pulse of energy shot upward, forming a shield over Washington, D.C. all across the planet. The other machines were doing the same, creating a protective barrier around Earth. I don't think the aliens were wrong after all, Olivia said quietly. Our graveyards really were hiding something. The giant machines stood like silent guardians across the planet. The blue shields they created sparkled in the sunlight. The alien weapons could not break through. Every time a Confederation ship fired, the shield absorbed the energy and grew stronger. At Arlington, Admiral Carter watched the machine with a mix of fear and wonder. It towered over the trees, its metal body covered in strange symbols that no one recognized. What are they? He asked no one in particular. Dr. Susan Moore stepped forward cautiously. I think I know, she said. There are stories in almost every ancient human culture about guardians who sleep beneath the earth. Gods or spirits who would wake up to protect humans in times of great danger. You're saying these machines are the source of those myths? Jack Collins asked. Susan nodded. Think about it. Why do so many different cultures around the world bury their dead in special places? What if our ancestors found these machines thousands of years ago? They wouldn't understand what they were, but they would sense they were important. So they built sacred sites around them, Lisa Summers said. And over time, those sites became our cemeteries. Exactly, Susan replied. We've been protecting this technology without even knowing it. A young soldier ran up to the group. Admiral, we're getting readings from the other sites. All the machines are active now. There are hundreds of them worldwide. In space, the Confederation fleet had stopped firing. The alien ships held position just beyond Earth's orbit. Their weapons could not penetrate the blue shields. On board the lead alien ship, High Envoy Zextar stared at the screens in shock. What have we done? He whispered. We were right. The burial grounds were hiding weapons. Not weapons, Dr. Krival corrected. Guardians, look at their behavior. They're defensive, not offensive. It doesn't matter, Zextar said. The humans have activated their trap. We must retreat and warn the Confederation. Back on Earth, Admiral Carter ordered a team to try to communicate with the machine at Arlington. Engineer Paula Martinez led the effort. Its systems are like nothing I've ever seen, she reported after scanning the Guardian with special equipment. It's partly mechanical, partly biological. And it's old. Really old. How old? The Admiral asked. Paula looked up from her readings. At least 50,000 years. Maybe much older. Everyone fell silent at this news. Humans had only been building cities for about 6,000 years. These machines predated human civilization. Sir, called another technician. The Guardian is sending out a signal. The signal wasn't aimed at the humans. It was directed upward, toward space. And it wasn't just the Arlington Guardian. All the machines around the world were sending the same message. Screens at Earth Defense Command suddenly came to life with a new image. It showed a star map with one system highlighted. That's not in our charts, Jack said, studying the map. It's beyond our exploration range. Then words appeared beneath the map, written in every human language simultaneously. The predecessors welcomed the children of Earth to the galactic community. The time of protection has ended. The time of inheritance begins. In orbit, the Confederation ships received the same message, but in their own languages. High Envoy Zextar read it with growing alarm. The predecessors, he said in awe. The beings who seeded life throughout the galaxy. Their technology has been lost for 1,000,000 years. And the humans have it, Dr. Krival added. On Earth, Admiral Carter was giving orders to secure all the Guardian sites. Teams of scientists and soldiers were dispatched to each location. Major Ryan Bennett led a team to a cemetery in New Orleans, where another Guardian stood watch. As they approached, the massive machine turned to face them. A compartment in its chest opened, revealing a glowing blue crystal. What is it doing? One of the soldiers asked nervously. The Guardian extended its hand, offering the crystal to Ryan. Cautiously, he stepped forward and took it. The moment his fingers touched the crystal, information flooded his mind. Images, knowledge, history, the story of Earth before humans, the true origins of life on the planet. My God, Ryan gasped. They were here first. The beings who built these Guardians. They lived on Earth millions of years ago, then left. But they planted these machines to protect whatever evolved here next. To protect us, Susan Moore said softly. We've been living under their protection all along. News of the Guardians spread quickly across Earth. People gathered near cemeteries to see the massive machines with their own eyes. Some were afraid, but most felt a strange sense of comfort. The Guardians made no threatening moves. They simply stood watch, maintaining their protective shields. Major Ryan Bennett and the crystal he received became the center of attention at Earth Defense Command. Scientists studied it while Ryan tried to explain what he had seen when he touched it. The images came so fast, he told Admiral Carter. I saw Earth as it was millions of years ago. There was a civilization here long before humans. They called themselves the predecessors. What happened to them? The Admiral asked. They evolved beyond physical form, Ryan explained. They left Earth, but they wanted to protect whatever intelligent life might evolve after them. So they created the Guardians and programmed them to remain dormant until needed. Engineer Paula Martinez had been examining the crystal under special equipment. "This crystal is incredible," she said. "It contains more data than all of Earth's computers combined. And it's changing our technology just by being connected to it." She pointed to a nearby computer screen where code was rewriting itself at impossible speeds. "The Guardian technology is upgrading our systems. It's giving us access to science centuries beyond our current level." Admiral Carter looked concerned. "Is that safe?" "The Guardians were programmed to protect us," Paula said. "Everything they're doing seems designed to help humanity defend itself." In orbit around Earth, the Confederation fleet remained at a safe distance. Their weapons couldn't penetrate the shields, and now they were detecting energy readings that alarmed them even more. "The human technology is advancing at an impossible rate," Dr. Krival reported to High Envoy Zextar. "Their defensive capabilities have increased tenfold in just hours. We must call for reinforcements," Zextar decided. "The entire Confederation must be warned about this threat." "But what if we misunderstood?" Nimpor asked. He had been quiet until now, studying the data from Earth. "The message mentioned the predecessors. There are ancient texts in our archives about them. They were said to be benevolent, not warlike." "It doesn't matter," Zextar said firmly. "The humans now have access to the most powerful technology in the galaxy. That makes them dangerous." Back on Earth, the Guardians began to move. They walked slowly away from the cemeteries, gathering in open areas. In each location, they began to build something. "What are they doing?" Jack Collins asked, watching the Guardian from Arlington, working in a field outside the city. "Creating defensive installations," Paula answered. "Look at the designs." She showed him a tablet with diagrams. "These are planetary defense systems, communication arrays, and what looks like a faster-than-light travel platform. They're giving us everything we need to defend ourselves and join the wider galactic community," Susan Moore said with wonder in her voice. The Guardians continued their work through the night. By morning, new structures stood across the planet. They glowed with the same blue light as the shields. At Earth Defense Command, alarms suddenly sounded. "Admiral," called the radar operator, "we're detecting Guardian activations on Mars and Europa, and even further out, on our colonies and other star systems." Everyone rushed to the screens. Sure enough, the same blue shields now surrounded all human settlements throughout space. The Guardians had been hidden beneath burial grounds on every world where humans lived. "My God," Lisa Summers whispered. "They'd been with us all along, following us to the stars." Admiral Carter nodded slowly. "Our ancestors must have known. Somehow. That's why we brought our burial traditions to every new world we settled. We were carrying our protectors with us without even realizing it." In the command center, one of the screens changed. It showed a new message from the Guardians. "The children of Earth are now the inheritors. The gifts of the predecessors are yours. Use them wisely." Paula looked up from her equipment, her eyes wide with excitement. "Sir, you won't believe this. The technology the Guardians are giving us, it's changing everything. We're now the most advanced species in this region of the galaxy." Admiral Carter stood silent for a long moment. "Then we'd better be worthy of it," he said at last. The Galactic Confederation called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all 27 member species gathered in the Great Hall on their capital world. The mood was tense. News of what happened at Earth had spread quickly. High Envoy Zextar stood before the assembly. "The humans now control predecessor technology," he announced. "They have advanced centuries in just days. They pose a serious threat to Confederation security." Voices rose in alarm. Some called for a full-scale attack on Earth. Others suggested a blockade to contain the humans to their solar system. "We must act quickly," said the Veltrex ambassador, his tentacles waving anxiously, "before the humans master their new weapons." In the back of the hall, Dr. Crevel and Nimpor exchanged troubled looks. "This is wrong," Nimpor whispered. "We attacked them first. The Guardians only appeared to protect the humans." "I agree," Crevel replied. "But no one will listen now. Fear has taken over." 1 week after the Guardians appeared, Earth sent a message to the Confederation. They requested a meeting to explain what had happened. After much debate, the Confederation agreed. Ambassador Eric Daniels traveled to the neutral meeting ground, a space station orbiting a dead star. He brought with him Dr. Susan Moore and engineer Paula Martinez. Their ship was one of the new vessels created with Guardian technology. It traveled 10 times faster than any previous human spacecraft. When they docked at the station, representatives from 12 Confederation species were waiting. Their faces showed fear and distrust. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Eric said politely. "We want to clear up the misunderstanding that led to this situation." "Misunderstanding?" The Korvax delegate said sharply. "You hid powerful weapons on your world, disguised as cultural sites." "No," Susan stepped forward. "We didn't hide them. We didn't know they were there. The Guardians were placed on Earth millions of years before humans evolved. Our ancestors found them and built sacred places around them without understanding what they were." "A convenient story," said another alien. "But true," Paula added. She activated a hologram showing the history the Guardians had shared. It displayed Earth millions of years ago, when the predecessors lived there. It showed how they created the Guardians and programmed them to remain hidden until Earth was threatened. "Our burial traditions grew around these sites by accident," Susan explained. "When your fleet attacked our cemeteries, you triggered exactly what the Guardians were designed to prevent: an attack on Earth." Some of the aliens began to look uncertain. One stepped forward. This was an elder Korvax with pale blue skin and wisdom in his 4 eyes. "There are ancient texts among my people," he said. "They speak of a world called the Protected, where the predecessors left their final legacy. We always thought it was a myth." "It's Earth," Eric said simply. "And we're as surprised by all this as you are." The meeting continued for hours. Slowly, some of the aliens began to believe the humans. Others remained suspicious. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Guardians continued their work. New cities were rising. Clean energy systems replaced old, polluting ones. Diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries were being cured. On Mars Colony, a Guardian helped colonists create a new atmosphere processor. Within months, the red planet would have breathable air outside the domes. The Earth ship returned from the meeting with mixed news. "Some believe us," Eric reported to Admiral Carter. "Others don't. The Confederation is divided on how to respond to us." "And if they decide we're a threat?" the Admiral asked. Eric looked grim. "Then we may face a larger attack. Many species fear what we might do with this technology." "What do they think we'll do?" Jack Collins asked. "Conquer them." "That's exactly what they fear," Susan said, "because it's what they would do in our position." Admiral Carter looked out the window at the Guardian standing watch over Washington, D.C. Its blue glow was visible even in daylight. "Then we'll have to show them a different way," he said quietly. "The predecessors chose us as their inheritors for a reason. We need to prove they chose wisely." 1 year passed since the day the Guardians first appeared. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The new technology brought an end to hunger, pollution, and many diseases. Humans traveled easily between Earth and its colonies, using the new faster-than-light ships. Admiral William Carter, now head of Earth's new Alliance office, stood at the window of the space station Unity. The station orbited Earth, serving as a meeting place between humans and friendly alien species. 7 of the Confederation members had chosen to form a new alliance with Earth. Others remained cautious or hostile. "The final Guardian has activated," Lisa Summers reported, entering the room. She was now captain of the station. "Where?" William asked. "In Scotland." An ancient burial mound that people thought was just a hill. It was the oldest Guardian on Earth, apparently. any message from it?" William turned from the window. "Yes, but it's different from the others. It's asking for representatives of Earth and our alien friends to gather at the site. It says it has a final message from the predecessors." 3 days later, a small group assembled near the Scottish Guardian. William and Lisa represented Earth's leadership. Dr. Susan Moore and Nimpour were there too. In the past year, they had worked together to document the true history of human burial traditions. The alien archaeologist had become Earth's strongest ally in the Confederation. Several other aliens were present, including representatives from the 7 friendly species. High Envoy Zextar came as well, though relations with the Korvax remained tense. The Guardian was different from the others. It was smaller, more human-like in shape. Its metal skin was golden rather than silver. It stood perfectly still until everyone had gathered around it. Then it spoke, not in words, but in images that appeared in everyone's minds. They saw the history of the predecessors, how they evolved on Earth, developed amazing technology, and eventually reached a state where they no longer needed physical bodies. Before we departed, the Guardian's message continued. We looked into possible futures. We saw many intelligent species would evolve in this galaxy. Most would follow paths of conquest and domination. The images showed brutal wars between alien civilizations, planets destroyed, species exterminated. But we also saw potential in one world, our original home. The creatures evolving there showed something rare: empathy. They fought and killed, yes, but they also cared for their sick, honored their dead, and valued their connections to others. Images of early humans appeared. They were burying their dead with flowers, creating art, helping injured members of their tribes. We placed our guardians beneath the ground, knowing that beings who respected their dead would build sacred places around them. This was our test. Only a species that valued what came before, that honored sacrifice and remembered those who had passed, would protect our guardians without knowing what they protected. The aliens looked at the humans with new understanding. "You were never meant to be warriors," Zextar said quietly to William. "You were chosen because you remember your dead." The Guardian's message continued. "You have inherited our legacy not because you are the strongest or smartest, but because you have the capacity to care. Use our gifts wisely. Protect life in all its forms. Remember us, as you have always remembered your own." With those final words, the Guardian's golden form began to change. It became a swirl of light that rose into the air, and then settled back to the ground as millions of tiny glowing particles. Where it had stood, a small tree began to grow at impossible speed. Within minutes, it had become a massive oak with leaves that glowed softly blue in the evening light. Dr. Susan Moore stepped forward and touched the tree's trunk gently. "It's over," she said. This was their final message. William nodded. "Not the end," he said. "A beginning." Later that night, humans and aliens gathered together for a memorial ceremony. They honored both the aliens who had died in the brief conflict and the ancient predecessors who had set everything in motion. As the stars came out, the oak tree's blue leaves glowed brighter. Its light reached upward, joining the stars in the night sky. A reminder that even death can nurture new life, new connections, new understanding. The day the galaxy discovered human graveyards, where traps had become the day humanity found its true place among the stars.